Hi, everyone. Welcome to the final presentation of our webinar, our business improvement webinar series. My name is Claire Bélanger-Parker, and I'm honored to serve our members as the Executive Director of the Crane Rental Association of Canada. I come to you from Saskatchewan, the land of a Treaty 4 territory, land of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Métis. The virtual world in which we have been living for the past 13 months has shown us how resilient we can be. It has also shown me how the technology available to us can be used to advance our business objective. This has certainly been the case for our association. I want to thank the people who made it all possible. Their commitment and support has made a huge difference this year. Special thanks to our corporate partners, Kyle Jardine with Liebherr Canada, Randy Robertson with Manitex, Mark Hooper with Manitowoc, Bill Stramer with Lingbelt, Justin Andrews with Tadano, and Todd Humber with Crane and Hoist Canada. The presentation is being recorded and will be available for viewing on demand. Providing technical support in the background are Jared Weiss and Dallin Davenport. Jared and I will be monitoring your questions during the presentation. Over the past couple of weeks, we have heard from RedList Software and Fleet Cost and Care. The recordings of those webinars are available on our website, and today's presentation will also be added within the next couple of days. If you were at our national conference in Charlottetown, beautiful Prince Edward Island, in 2019, you may remember today's presenter. Talmage Wagstaff holds a master's degree in engineering, and as a former engineer with ExxonMobil, Lubricants and Specialties, and as a manager for a major crane company, Tal has successfully tackled some of the biggest problems faced in the crane industry. So to present RedList Software Solution, let's welcome Tal Wagstaff, and over to you, Tal.
Thank you, Claire. How's my audio? Can you hear me?
Sounds great here. Thank you.
Great, thanks. We appreciate the opportunity to be here with this organization. We feel very, very thankful and blessed, Claire, to have been invited and excited to take questions and also have a conversation with some crane professionals today to discuss some of the problems and solutions that a lot of us solve in today's, a lot of us face and solve in today's day and age. One of the things that we'll be doing to start, obviously, is an introduction to ourselves at RedList. We'll also be introducing Bobby Griffin, and if Ray was able to join, we'll introduce Ray as well. And then we'll kind of have a conversation with these guys about ways that they've used software to impact their business, specifically in their operations, in their maintenance, and in their safety. We've seen a lot of questions also arise from the group and the association just about what a digital transformation looks like. How do you manage the change? And we'll have that discussion as well. So really quick, I'll just jump into an introduction of RedList. We've been around for 7 years, since 2014. We service the crane industry as well as many other heavy industrial industries like trucking, construction, mining, refining, and manufacturing. In Canada, we've been working with companies like Imperial Oil. In the manufacturing space, we've worked with Cascades Forestry Products. We have some projects this year set in the mining space, in iron ore, and in the oil sands. Our platform's available in English, French, and Spanish. Our team is just over 50 people, and our software is all cloud-based, and we pride ourselves in pushing forward with a mobile app first mentality. I'm not sure, Jared, if we have, Ray has been able to join us, but Bobby, if you are on the line, we would like to introduce Bobby Griffin. He's a crane professional who's worked in cranes at many large companies throughout his career. But Bobby, we'd like you to take a minute and introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Tal. Hopefully my audio is okay. I'm on a mobile device today. I wasn't able to get to a PC, and I can see your video, but you probably can't see me.
You sound great.
Okay, perfect. So I've been in the crane and rigging industry since the early 90s. I worked with a custom steel erection and crane rental company in Salt Lake City, Utah for over 20 years. And I transferred to Bechtel Corporation and traveled the United States as a crane rigging and heavy haul manager for 6 years. And I've, in the last year and a half, returned home to Salt Lake City, Utah, where I'm now a project manager and general manager at Wagstaff Crane and Rigging in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Great. Thanks, Bobby. And I think we do have Ray with us. Ray, I don't know if you can hear us. Will you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Ray Rutt. I've been in basically the taxi crane industry for 18 years. I was at a mid-sized company here in town for most of that time and went out on my own 2 years ago. Pretty experienced using RedList from the other organization. I started at the bottom, ran the cranes, drove the trucks, did the rigging jobs, and ended up here. So I'm your taxi crane guy, basically.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us. Today we're gonna talk just about some of the common problems that we see in the industry. We always say here at RedList that we don't want to just use software just for the sake of having a system. The software should be in place to impact your business or solve your problems. The main thing that we want to focus on is how to help your company grow and scale. Software isn't just about eliminating double entry or making your employees' jobs more efficient. It should also be about making your equipment more healthy, more available, increasing your revenue, invoicing your customers faster, being more profitable, and ultimately scaling your crane business. So today we're going to have a conversation, as you've seen in the past on these other webinars, with Ray and Bobby about some of these problems, and they'll pull from their past to kind of tell us of their stories. And both of them are using the RedList tools today, and we'll talk specifically about some of the ways that they manage their operations, managing their jobs, how they get their invoices out as quickly as possible to customers. We've seen a lot of feedback from the panel about time tracking, so we'll talk about that, some resource planning, and then we'll talk about safety and maintenance as well, and all with the goal in mind to understand how these tools could impact your business, help you grow your top line and your bottom line. So we're not really doing a software demonstration today. Again, it's just kind of the discussion format, but we will navigate away from the PowerPoint as we have this discussion. And Dallin might kind of track the conversation that we have to give some insights into what an experience would be like for a user. So as Ray and Bobby and I are talking about the system, Dallin may pull up some applications and just follow along with our conversation in terms of what the software might look like. So we'll dive into a conversation about operations first, Ray and Bobby, if that's okay. So one of the biggest opportunities that we see in the crane industry is with job management and the invoicing improvements that everybody is kind of looking for. Essentially, we all want to get the jobs created and the work done and the invoice processed as quickly as possible. So we want to receive the operator's job tickets and paperwork through a simple system, but sometimes it's not so simple. It can be a massive amount of work that takes time to process the invoice. So the question I have for you, Ray and Bobby, and maybe Ray will let you go first, and Bobby, you can go second. But real quick, just tell us about your current operation and how does your team use RedList to manage your jobs? Ray?
I fully dispatch out of RedList. So the guys get the jobs at the end of the day. They do all of their pre-trips through RedList. They do all their post-trips, all their man basket forms. If the customer needs an annual inspection, they can grab it from RedList and send it to them. If the customer wants the pre-trip they did, they can send that. And honestly, the only reason I look at that stuff is to get the hours to do the maintenance off of it. I mean, otherwise, I need all that stuff, but I don't really need to look at it. So it kind of collects all that, and when I need it, and you know, you need that stuff, but you don't need to stare at it all day long. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Were you gonna say something else, Ray? I apologize for cutting you off.
I was gonna say we are fixing to start pushing stuff into QuickBooks, which will be nice. Haven't quite done that yet, just because we're busy, but that'll be cool too.
Awesome, great. Bobby, I'll repeat the question just in case, just since it's been a minute, but give you a chance to reply. Just maybe tell us about your operation and how your team manages your jobs through RedList. If we may have lost Bobby.
I'm back. Sorry for that. I'm back and I can hear you now.
Great, we can hear you.
So I got back just in time to hear you say we lost Bobby Tal. If there was a question for me, I missed it. I apologize. My phone rang and I lost audio.
No problem. So we were just asking you to give us a quick outline of your operation and how your team uses RedList to manage your jobs on a day-to-day.
Okay, sure. So RedList is a huge part of our daily operation for everyone involved in our field operations, dispatch, the team who takes the calls and deals with our customers. So starting with that, we have a team of people who field calls from customers on a daily basis, and they use the tools in RedList to either schedule a job walk if it's something we need to go look at, or if it's a return customer and a simple job, we simply schedule the job. We also, at that time, utilize those notes to produce quotes and estimates for our clients. And we use these tools to separate the jobs by different types of work that we perform, whether it be a job estimate, a job walk, a confirmed job, maybe a COD client, or something that requires a lift plan. So we start by labeling the type of job and enter all the details. The great part about this is we have hundreds and hundreds of clients, and all of those details are then attached to the customer and to that particular job for future reference. So it's a great tool for us. A lot of times the customers will say, "You've done this job for us before, please just schedule it again." And we can go find that information easily. So once our team enters a job in RedList, it gets turned over to our dispatchers, who then utilize RedList to verify the personnel that would be available and the equipment available to perform the job, and match those two things together by certification, qualification, type of equipment, availability, available components for the equipment. They also, within the tools that we use at RedList, we have a tracker for the certification and qualification of each of our personnel, as well as site-specific trainings that they may require, or local or state, federal, OSHA, MSHA type of requirements, so they can line the right person up on the right job with the right piece of equipment very quickly and very easily. And that's really the basics of like our daily operation of utilizing RedList to perform the jobs, get the jobs entered and perform the tasks.
Great. Thanks, Bobby. That was great. Ray, thank you for your ideas there. So one of the additional pieces that we see people struggle with is with processing field tickets from the operators and riggers themselves. and getting those processed into invoices as quickly as possible. So I'm curious if either of you have experienced some of that struggle in the past, and can you describe maybe the current flow of how you're getting the customer service ticket from the operator back to your office and push through to an invoice? Ray, I'll let you go first, and then I'll have Bobby answer.
Well, I'll just say paper is terrible. They always get lost and they never get back to the office. And I'm kind of a one-man office, so I'm not always in it. So it could be weeks before I see these guys. With RedList, I linked it where they can't put a time card in unless they've done a ticket for the job. So that pretty much fixed them not doing that part of it.
Right.
It's easy. It's all electronic. I can be anywhere with a laptop and do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. That's great. Bobby, anything to add there? What can you tell us about your current flow of how you're getting paperwork and tickets in from your operators out to invoices to the customers?
Sure. I'll say we agree with Ray 100%, and we have strived to get away from paper completely, and RedList has let us do that. So our operators all have some type of mobile device in the field with them, and they produce a ticket on the job site, review that with the customer. Once it's reviewed, then they submit the ticket, and that ticket comes in to the job owners. We have several job owners who are then responsible to review the ticket and ensure that ticket matches the quote that we provided via RedList to the customer. A lot of our customers have special rates, so we have to check that rate is appropriate for the equipment and the mobilizations. One of the nice parts of this tool is a project manager can go and assign specific rates to a specific customer, and when you enter the job, it'll auto-populate the rates of that rental equipment and personnel. So that helps us tremendously to ensure that we're not having to send a new invoice because our rates don't match, what the customer was expecting on the other end. Once they're in the queue, it's a really simple process for our job owners to review the line items, adjust accordingly, and move that on to ready for invoice. And that gets sent directly to our AP group, our accounts payable department, who then is exporting this information into our system. We're utilizing QuickBooks and producing an invoice. And the speed of this, since we have eliminated paper tickets, allows us to actually bill customers the day of or the next day, when previously we were 3 to 5 or more days on this. So it's been a tremendous improvement. Not having to receive those paper tickets, we have a lot less administrative work just for our office personnel in general.
Great. Thanks. Thank you both. Okay, so moving on to maybe another topic within just kind of the operations management. One of the things that we see with our customers a lot is just, your jobs are complicated, especially with, the different sizes of cranes that you have, the different configurations, and putting a job into the system can be equally complicated sometimes if you're, taking into account all the different riggers and counterweight loads and crane components that are needed. So I'm curious if you've utilized the RedList job templates and maybe discuss some of the benefits of using a template to create complex jobs faster. Ray, I'll let you go first. And I don't know if you've had any experience with job templates, if you guys utilize that feature, but. Ray, you still there?
You can also do bar and line graphs.
If not, we can maybe have Bobby go, and if we get Ray back, we'll have him answer. Bobby, did you hear the question about job templates?
I did. So we utilize job templates. We A project manager will develop a job template for a specific piece of equipment that might require multiple pieces of support equipment, depending on the configuration, the size of the equipment. Specifically in our case, it's the number of semis and trailers that are required, dependent on the counterweight loads or the boom sections that might go with the crane. So the job takers, the folks that are taking the phone calls or entering the jobs, can utilize the templates and select, for an example, a 300-ton crane with 4 loads of counterweights. Instead of them having to know and understand what the counterweight configurations are for a 300-ton crane, how many trailers it would require, it's pre-built for them. And most recently, the templates, something that we're implementing soon that will help us tremendously, is across state lines, regulations are different for hauling of loads on trailers and axle spacing and maximum weight. So the template for the state of Utah may be different than Idaho and Wyoming. So we'll ensure that we are estimating and bidding the proper quantity of pieces of equipment depending on where we're going. It's been a great tool for us. Auto-populates the personnel and equipment with an easy click of a button once the templates are built.
Awesome. Ray, did you were you able to get back on? Still got Ray? Well, Jared, we'll let you try and get help Ray get back on, and we'll move on maybe to the next question. But so Bobby, one thing that we've seen a few questions come across the wire on with this panel has been in regards to timekeeping. We see most companies have an opportunity to improve there. There's always room to improve. I think one of the specific questions that came from this panel was just they just said straight out that timekeeping and timesheets can be a nightmare. So the question is, can you describe how you guys manage your timekeeping and your timesheets?
Sure. So for reference, we're managing personnel of a quantity of 85 to 100 on a weekly basis and a daily basis that are submitting timers, their timesheet. We require them to submit this daily, and it's a very simple process in the field. If you're assigned to a dispatch job, the timer is associated with the job, and you can enter the quantity of hours and it'll track it there. And that's all done via mobile device. And then the approving process is very simple for an approver to go in and review the timers submitted by each employee. They are available notes, ability to add notes to their timers if they've done something that was a little different than the dispatch, or if the job took longer than expected, which is good for us, so we can reference that for the next time we go around. And most recently, we're going to incorporate a 365-day-a-year timer requirement. So each employee is responsible to be accountable for themselves each day. If they did not work, they can simply submit a timer with 0 hours, and it's going to reduce the amount of time we spend searching for, did someone work, and just forget to submit a timer, put the accountability on each person, and it's going to really speed this process up. I've been working on timers myself the last 2 weeks on a daily basis, and we can manage workforce of 100 personnel timer approvals in about 30 minutes a day with one person, now that we've got everybody in the field on the same page and kind of learned the process.
Great. That's great. Thanks, Bobby, for sharing that. I'll check to see if we still got Ray one more time, see if he has anything to chime in with. I know his team is using the digital timekeeping as well.
I'm here, but the power went out, so I called in on my phone, so I didn't hear the question.
No problem. So we were just talking about timekeeping, Ray, and the panel was asking us about, kind of some of them have mentioned that timekeeping and timesheets can be a nightmare. You mentioned it earlier as you were talking about your operation in general. We were just wondering if you could expand a little bit just on how your guys are submitting timers and just tell us about how you're running your operation with timekeeping.
Yeah, if they want paid on a job, they need to put it in RedList, whether they come in and work in the yard or they go do a job. That way, whoever's doing payroll can go in, they pull up each person for that week, they do their time, they let me look at it first, and then we send it out. I also think it's pretty cool, like as we grow as a company, it'll be easier to just stick someone in that role full time.
Right.
Like it's very, I forget what is it, scalable? Is that the term?
Sure.
It doesn't matter, little business, big business, you can just stick people in there when you need to, when the demand's high. And but yeah, that's how I collect the time cards. We used to do paper time cards, and that was terrible also. So we got away from that.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, well, we're going to move on from discussion about operations and maybe move into a quick discussion about safety. I think Bobby's just texted me. I think he had to jump into a job walk. He's got to jump off, so we'll excuse Bobby. But if you're still there, Bobby, thanks for joining us for the time we had you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the time. I do have to run. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bobby. So Ray, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here and just talk about, some of the safety and compliance. I know, Bobby's doing a lot of that in his operation, and you mentioned it already, but we all know kind of how critical it is in the crane industry to work safe and be compliant with regulation wherever you're at. And I always look at it in the crane industry that safety obviously is paramount importance, but it's also kind of synonymous with your marketing in the crane industry, right? It's like if you want to go work at a facility, it seems like the main thing they care about is how you perform as a team through your safety. So, Ray, you mentioned a few things that your guys are doing and capturing in the field already through the inspection app, but could you maybe describe a little bit more about some of the documents that your operators are completing through the phone and how you're utilizing that to keep them safe and compliant?
Sure, but the first thing to safety is don't be the crane company on YouTube. No, yeah, like I said, we're doing all of our pre-trips, all of our post-trips, all of our man basket inspections, all of the crane inspections. We're doing all of that in RedList so that, I don't have to handle all that. They can do all that on their own. They don't have to, and it's actually easier for them. They're not filling out paper. Because honestly, when you make them fill out paper, they don't want to do it. Everybody wants to hold their phone now. So,
right.
Yeah, that's how we're meeting the requirement for all of the inspections that you do daily. Each thing that goes out, crane or truck, has 2 inspections done on it daily. And if there's something actually goes wrong with it, there's a 3rd one they fill out to where I get it to fix it. So.
Ray, maybe expound a little bit there on if something goes wrong with it. I think one of the questions that the panel was asking about was just, and this will kind of take us into our maintenance discussion, but I'm curious if you're using any of the features where if a defect is marked, it notifies somebody in your company. Are you utilizing that?
Yeah, I get it, and my mechanic gets it.
Okay.
And he actually gets it before I do because he gets less emails. But he'll text me, hey, this is broken. Do you want me to fix it tomorrow? So it's helpful. It's nice.
Great. Yeah, I think one of the the biggest things is in cranes we all want to be safe. We all want to be compliant. We all want to be the best and have the best equipment. But sometimes it's just the speed of data from the field to the decision makers, and if you can take those inspections and have your field team filling them out as they complete their work, and it just becomes a part of their routine. And then you can set up customizations to where, if something shows up as defective, say you get your anti-tube lock comes up defective, you can have that notify yourself and the maintenance team about the protocol to handle that type of deficiency, and you can manage all of your deficiencies separately, so that you're not responding to somebody that reports a dirty cab in the same way that you are with a deficiency about a tube lock issue. But there's a lot of customization that a user can do to set up the protocols of how they want the automation, the notifications and automation to happen, that the forms and inspections create from the field. Great. So I think we'll progress here to the next piece, Ray. Let's talk a little bit about maintenance. From our view, we've kind of talked about operations and safety, and we all know how much money we can save by being safe, and how much additional revenue we can generate by being efficient in operations. Obviously, maintenance is tied into that. There's another big opportunity in the crane industry with improving our maintenance practices. Typically when we're talking about maintenance, we're thinking about cost reductions, right? But if we minimize the unplanned downtime and unexpected breakdowns, your equipment's more available for production. So there's kind of you're punching and you're impacting the business in two different ways, reducing costs and increasing revenue. So maintenance improvements are a great place to focus. The thing that I've been wondering, Ray, you and I have talked about this in the past, is would you maybe describe just kind of your experience in the crane industry in general with some of the frustrations you've had with availability of equipment and unexpected downtime? Have you seen that in the past where you've been in any companies that it felt like you were kind of reacting to all of your maintenance issues?
Yes, I have. It almost makes it a little bit harder. You're just basically putting out fires all day long. You're towing cranes in, you're towing trucks in. When, if you do the hourly maintenance and the greasing and everything like you're supposed to, that really diminishes. I mean, you're always going to have, the lone wolf problems that happen, but if you take care of your stuff, it keeps going. But if you just ride it hard and park it, it's not going to keep providing for you. So I just like the RedList because the guys have to put the crane hours or the truck hours in there. And we've got a little alert set where every so many hours, it'll kick an email off to me and the maintenance guy. And, hey, we got to service this. And we'll do it as soon as we can, like within a day or two. But I've had pretty good results with that instead of just not really taking care of your stuff.
Maybe tell us a little bit more about your results. Have you been able to kind of get ahead of the curve, or what specifically have you seen on your equipment health?
I haven't yet, and this may jinx me, had any downtime on a job in the last 2 years.
That's awesome.
But I probably will today.
Well, that's exciting. I think that's an amazing accomplishment. Another question that the group had here was just about kind of leading indicators and notifications, and you kind of mentioned it already with the the hours kicking off a a notification to you. But some people feel like, the maintenance system that they have in place is either just purely reactive, or they don't find out what they need to do until it's past due. So wondering if you could talk a little bit more about those system notifications and triggers that you get, and any of the leading indicators about maintenance and doing it before it's due or before you're blindsided by it being a breakdown.
Well, I had my maintenance guy go through the manufacturer's manuals and put into RedList for each equipment when each piece of equipment needs service. Trucks are so many hours, cranes are so many hours. Some of the cranes at certain services, after so many hours, you have to do different stuff to them, and grease, undercarriage, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, is that what you're looking for, or?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think preventative maintenance it's interesting what we see, especially even with some of the most sophisticated companies in the world, especially on the maintenance side. It's like sometimes when you're talking in terms of preventative maintenance, it's kind of like a yes or no checkbox. Like, did we do it, or did we, yes or no? And the difference between yes, we did it, and no, we did it, no, we didn't do it, can be huge, right? Because when you look at the manufacturer's manual, like you described, there might be 85 tasks that need to be done with that PM. So if you really want to keep that piece of equipment healthy and available, we need to be following what the manufacturers say, and it'll help. If we go through all 85 steps, the equipment will stay healthy. But if we just give the mechanic a sheet that says, hey, do the PM, and they give it back to you and it says yes, but there's not a line item detailed list of things that they need to do, there's a lot of things that could slip through the cracks. And we all know how many different places a crane can have a maintenance issue and shut down a job site. So that's why PMs and getting your kind of your firefighting crew under control, it's so important to push on that preventative maintenance group. And it can also be the other way too. You can push too hard on preventative maintenance.
Yeah, you can get pretty ridiculous with it. Yeah.
So Ray, I think just to wrap up here, I think one of the things that the panel was asking about was just that about the management of change. That they're excited about ideas like we've just described today and we've discussed, but one of the challenging parts of doing something like this is the implementation and getting employees to buy in and make these ideas impactful in your business. So I think it'd be fun to have you describe what it's been like to implement these apps and software with your employees, and how you manage the change of going from something you were doing in the past to what you're doing now. I guess just tell us overall how and I think people want to hear kind of the realistic side of it as well. There's folks that do push back on technology. So tell us what your experience has been like implementing these tools.
Sure. At the mid-sized place I was at, we went and picked one or two really tech-savvy people, and we showed them everything. And then we had them go grab 2 or 3 people, kind of show them. And then it just kind of, you slowly do it like that instead of like sitting them all down in a meeting and just, hey, this is what we're going to do. Because your older generation isn't really going to want to mess with it. But the guys that are on all their social media and always have their phone in their hand, they want to figure out how to have their phone in their hand more. So they are really willing to roll with it. So you just kind of got to use that to your advantage.
And at your, as you've started your own operation in the last 2 years, have you done it the same way you did it in the past, or I think you've got everybody using?
Yeah, no, not really. It was just kind of, hey, this is what we're going to do, and we're a smaller company, so you just kind of deal with it because you don't really have an option. But it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
it was fairly easy.
Good. I think
No,
that's.
No, I was just saying it was fairly easy to transition.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I think that's one of the common misconceptions and it's probably true, 5-10 years ago, is that, the older guys don't know how to use technology. They're going to, completely reject it. But we've noticed as we've worked with customers that, especially with the mobile apps, like if you can give the guys a mobile app that utilizes kind of a lot of the same interfaces that they're used to using in their own daily life, it's kind of nice, because most of our employees are almost training themselves on how to use applications because they're using it to listen to music or text their family or read their emails or look up hunting spots or whatever their hobbies are. They're most everybody's using some sort of device. And I know I've talked to Bobby in the past, and he's kind of experienced the same thing that you described, Ray, where it's not always easy. They've done both methods where you kind of train a trainer and have them train their employees, but he was mentioning to me that they've had more success and that's why Bobby joined us, is because he's been the key guy there, and just, it's a mandated thing, and he takes the paper out of the hands and replaces it with a tablet, and then he's just there to support them through that management of change. But you do have to be strong from a management perspective, and you also have to be flexible and ready to help them. And we understand. We have an implementation team that we've got Dallin on the line that heads that implementation team, and they're always available to help our customers, and all the way down to their field people go through that process. Ray, I want to thank you for joining us. I know an hour is precious time to a crane guy, so thanks so much for being here. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add or talk about?
No, not really. I just, like I said, it's really cool to have a software that, I'm kind of a little guy right now, but if I keep growing like we are, it'll just kind of go with us. So that was part of the reason I went with RedList instead of the other bigger guys.
Yeah, likewise. We're excited to see you grow, and we get excited every time you add a crane and an employee there. And scalability is impact, and scalability is the main thing that we want to help our customers drive. We certainly want to see your employees being as efficient as possible and not having to process so much paperwork, but we're really, really hopeful that our tools can help you grow your bottom line and free up enough capital to grow and scale and expand. So Claire, I think Ray and I have kind of been through our discussion here. So I know we only have a few minutes left, but I want to turn the time back over to you and anybody that wants to ask any questions.
Thank you very much, Tal. This has been, 3 weeks for me of learning about the efficiencies of these fleet management soft systems that are available to our members across Canada. So thank you very much for taking the time to be a part of this series and showing what you can do. And it was very interesting to me over the 3 weeks of hearing the various challenges of the change management when a company decided to onboard with the system, and to hear today's perspective of starting with the younger, the techie employee to get everyone excited about the technology versus sitting down with the entire team and getting them to embrace the system. So again, every company has different ways of embracing changes, and these were two different models that have been successful. So that was interesting. And I know you've covered pretty well every questions that we received prior to the webinar. One of them, though, is about the the duration of the onboarding process. I'm curious if Bobby or Ray are still on the line. If we could hear about the moment that you made the decision to feeling comfortable with the technology, how long did that take?
A week and a half. Probably once I saw that it would work is when I kind of was comfortable with it. But like when everyone was comfortable with it,
Yes.
2.5 weeks, probably. But again, I wasn't doing everybody in that 2.5 weeks. We just did some small groups in that time span. So
Interesting.
and it was 40 guys. So 2.5 weeks to do 40 guys is pretty good, I think.
Yeah, this certainly is. It certainly is. I like the comment about you don't want to be the crane company on YouTube. I certainly, you know, those are the videos that we dread every time we see one coming up. I've learned so much about the business management side of the crane industry in the last 3 weeks, and today being able to see the live application on the screen was fascinating. So I want to take a moment, Tal, before I give the mic back to you, to thank Michael Cox from Right Plan, who was with us 3 weeks ago, and Jack Curran from Fleet Cost and Care, who presented last week, and to you, Tal, and your team for being a part of this. The video will be uploaded as soon as we render it on our site, and we will make sure everyone who was a part of the business series, the business improvement series, actually have access to these videos. So thank you once again for joining us these past 3 weeks. And I hope that some of the people who were in the audience found this presentation as useful as they have seen in the last 2 weeks. And to close us and to close this webinar today, I'd like to give you the microphone back, Tal. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Just again, once more, big thanks to your association and all of the companies that are a part of it and your sponsors. We feel grateful to be a part of it and excited to be able to rub shoulders with professionals like yourselves. We do want to leave you with kind of a call to action here at the end. We'd love to hear more of your questions. We'd love to show you in depth. I know you were kind of watching us play around in the system today, but we'd love to hear what some of your problems or frustrations might be and see if there's a match for it in our system. So you can request more information there through sending us an email, info@yourredlist.com, or you can go to this getredlistsoftware.com CRAC link and fill out a form, and we'd love to hear from you, touch base, and discuss this more. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.